Hands down, this is the absolutely hardest VA disability claim to win. I'm not joking about that. It's actually the only claim, in my opinion, that with a lack of evidence, veterans should give up on this one and focus their time on other claims to be properly rated. Okay, 99% of the time, veterans should not give up. In my opinion, this is that 1%. Now, before I explain the hardest claim, it's not going to make sense because you have to understand the basis of service connection. No, we're not talking about the big three, although if you don't know what that is, you need to subscribe to the channel. If you do know what the big three is, this is not a big three video. It's a basis of service connection video, and there's 5 of them, okay? There's 5 of them. You have direct, secondary, aggravation, exposure, and then lastly, when your VA healthcare team makes a huge mistake and it causes you to have a disability, boom. So direct, secondary, aggravation, exposure, VA healthcare, okay, VHA. Direct links your condition directly to military service, duh, okay? Secondary links your condition to a disability that is already service connected. For example, I'm rated for PTSD. I had developed migraines as a result of my PTSD. All right. Aggravation is a condition that existed prior to military service, but your service made that condition a lot worse. Nugget here, this claim falls in that category. Okay. Exposure is essentially the same as direct, except the nexus is directly tied to whatever it is you were exposed to. Exposure is like a combination of direct and secondary. Okay. And your healthcare messing you up, which absolutely sucks, is its own nexus, obviously. That's not what we're going to talk about here. Okay. That number is very, 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 very small. Now, those are how veterans are service connected. Okay. And with each of those, and this is the important part that really bridges the gap between hardest claim and what that claim is, its evidence will shift, okay, depending on the basis of service connection. So for direct, your evidence is in your service treatment records from the military, right? That makes sense. For secondary, your evidence is current and from your provider, whether that's the VA or private, doesn't matter. Your service treatment records have zero input on the secondary basis, all right? Aggravation requires evidence from service on the aggravation side of the house. Exposure is a combination of that direct and secondary, and obviously your healthcare making a mistake will be documented before and after the procedure. So with all of that in mind, here's the delivery of the thumbnail and the title. The hardest claim to win is aggravation claims, and specifically flat feet that existed prior to service. You'll see asymptomatic flat feet in your entrance exam or at MEPS. And there are 2 main conditions that I see veterans have that existed prior to service, and they are flat feet and asthma. All right, now we're going to focus on flat feet here. Something to understand is that when you have flat feet, that condition is only going to get worse, right? Whether you serve in the military or not, through time, I don't care what you do in your life, that condition is going to get worse. So our feet don't magically get put back together. There are insoles for your shoes, which are quite painful, by the way. But even then, this can just slow down the process. But at the end of the day, these conditions, flat feet, are still going to get worse. And why? Just because, right? The just because is what makes flat feet on the basis of aggravation the hardest claim. So not only do veterans have to prove that their flat feet are worse now than before they entered the military service, whatever service that was, okay? Veterans have to prove that their military service made their flat feet worse, and this part's crucial, so listen carefully here. I'm going to say this very slowly. It's not that your flat feet have gotten worse. Everyone always goes that way. That's not what you have to prove. That's objective. It's going to happen. Veterans have to prove that their military service caused their flat feet to get worse beyond the condition's natural regression. Now, I'm gonna try and visualize this for you, okay? So this is our asymptomatic flat feet when we join the military. Through time, no matter what we do, our flat feet are going to get worse. They're going to become chronic, maybe prostrating, pronounced flat feet, not prostrating flat feet. Okay. That's going to happen, right? Now, if your military service caused this line to dip like this, that is beyond its natural regression. So knowing that natural regression, we have this line. The aggravation is the line. You enter the military, something happens, the line goes down, and then it continues to regress, right? Now we're going to jump back to reality here because that requires evidence. You have to prove that with evidence. You can't just say it happened. How many veterans that had flat feet existed prior to service do you think has the medical evidence in their service treatment records that show the beyond natural regression? I'm going to go out on a whim here and say none, right? What you'll find is these veterans have complaints of their flat feet, which is natural because they have flat feet. That was already assessed at the entrance exam. Your feet are going to hurt. You're going to complain about it. That is not beyond its natural regression. That's just the condition getting worse. So having complaints about flat feet means nothing at that point, okay? Direct off the table. You have to go aggravation. Now, let's go see how flat feet are rated. And if you are fighting an aggravation claim, I'm telling you, without solid evidence, you're fighting a steep uphill battle. And to be honest with you, I would most likely, if I was going to fight it, which I probably wouldn't, but if I was, and maybe you're the veteran that had the evidence, but you were denied, I would personally go the lawyer route. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a lawyer that I don't have a partnership with. I don't get anything for this. He's just a good dude. I often recommend veterans to this person. He's a good dude. Okay, so you can reach out to him. I'll show you his website. But first, I want to show you how flat feet are rated. And let's go ahead and pull that up. There's my mediocre YouTube channel. Let's go to Gunny Google over here. Aye, Gunny. We're going to type in flat feet 38 CFR, ECFR. If you don't know how to search up conditions in the VA, that's exactly how you do it. Replace flat feet with PTSD or lower back pain or whatever that is for you, okay? You're going to want to pull up the CFR schedule of ratings, not necessarily codes, okay? Schedule of ratings. And here we are. Now, I don't think you can see this, but I'm going to hit Control F and type in flat. And it's going to boom, flat. There we go. So here we are. Flat feet is rated at 50, 30, 30, 20, 10, and 0. So flat feet has its own bilateral criteria, not bilateral factor. I want to make that very clear. It's the bilateral factor is in the criteria. Okay, so you don't double dip on that. So for instance, bilateral, here you have three conditions, right? You have moderate, you have severe, then you have pronounced. And each of these, except for moderate, has a both or one. That's how flat feet's rated, okay? I'll tell you this, pronounced bilateral flat feet, 50% rating is absolutely going to cause secondaries, especially the longer you have that condition at that severity. So it's one of those, it's so good, it sucks, but it sucks because it's good because you're compensated for it. Welcome to the world of VA. So if you're looking at fighting this, okay, flat feet is a solid rating. It's worth it to fight, okay, if you're going to go that route. Now, aggravation, you got a tough road ahead of you. And I want to share with you this lawyer, Guide on Law, Andrew Gross, okay, that's him. He has a YouTube channel, okay? You can check it out. I'm sure you can search it on your own, but you see his team down here. Their phone number, 443-846-0740, guideonlegal.com, okay? There you go. No, I don't get paid for that. It would be cool if I did. right? Andy's a good dude. But I don't, which sucks. Anyways, yes, that's the hardest claim. And to understand why it's the hardest claim, you have to understand the basis of connection. Then you have to understand how evidence shifts for the basis of connection, because that is how you fight the VA. You don't fight the VA on feelings or personal statements, okay? You fight the VA on law. That's how you win.